Hello, in this short lecture I will give you a couple of reasons why God doesn't exist. The first reason why God doesn't exist is because of the fact that God is perfect, so He would never have created such an imperfect world. The second reason why God doesn't exist because He would have never created the human beings that are capable to do bad things and evil, because God is perfect. So He would have created only creatures that are capable to do good things and not evil or wrong or bad things. And we can also ask the simple question, why God created the human beings from the beginning. He has nothing to do but to create a thing that and then put that thing to the test. There is no sense in such a thing, and we should also remember that God knows what will happen in the future. So God knew that the human beings would do evil and bad things and sins and so on. So because of the fact that He knew it, He would have never created them from the beginning. So that is the proof that God doesn't created the human beings. And from that reason, God doesn't exist. The third reason why God doesn't exist is that God would have never created such a world with violence, cruelty, murders, a lot of poverty, a lot of anger, and so on, and also a lot of diseases and wars, and also a lot of natural disasters such as earthquakes, floods, and hurricanes. God would have never created such a world. And the fourth reason why God doesn't exist is that God would have never created such a reality in which the very existence of the predator is dependent in his ability to kill other animals, because the lion, in order to survive, must kill the lamb or the deer. So God would have never created such injustice. Okay, so that is the reason why God doesn't exist. The fifth reason why God doesn't exist is that there are actually three monotheistic religious. Monotheistic is defined as belief in one God or the oneness of God, and those three religions are the Judaism, the Christianity, and the Islam, and they are actually contradicting each other in the description of how God created the world. And they also don't have the same God, because the God of the Judaism is not the same God as the God of the Christianity or the Islam. So because of those contradictions and difference in the definition of God, we can say that none of those religions are true. They are fake, and they were invented by the human beings, and God also was created by human beings, and it doesn't exist at all. And the sixth and last reason why God doesn't exist is actually a logic reason. We can say that logically God cannot exist, from the simple reason that we can ask a simple question: if God is able to create such a big stone that he himself cannot lift, if the answer to this question is positive, so we can say that there is something that God cannot do. That is to say, God cannot lift the stone that he himself created. And from that we can deduce that God is not omnipotent. And if the answer to that question is negative, then we can say that God is not able to create such a big stone that he himself cannot lift. And from that we can deduce that also the same conclusion that God is not omnipotent. So from that example we can deduce that there is no such being that is omnipotent at all, because logically it's impossible that such being exists. Okay, so that was the sixth reason that explains why God doesn't exist, and so those are all the reasons that explain why God doesn't exist at all. Okay, thank you very much.